All right. Good evening, everyone. We'll get the meeting started. And before we do that, I'd like to read the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is Treaty 2 land, traditional territory of Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Assiniboine, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Red River Métis. We affirm our commitment to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities, including the national government of the Red River Métis, in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation. Uh, uh, first, First item tonight, moved by Deputy Mayor Lachlan and seconded by Councillor Stakilo, be resolved that we accept the council meeting agenda as presented. All in favor? Anyone opposed? It's carried. Next is the moved by Councillor Stakilo, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be resolved that council waives the reading and accepts and approves as circulated the minutes of the following meeting, and that's our regular council meeting from April the 13th of this year. Questions or comments regarding this? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We'll move right into the consent agenda. We did a little bit of horse trading. We have a huge number of proclamations for this meeting, and for the sake of brevity, we will read some of them and we will acknowledge the others. So we'll start with the readings, and I'll start with Councillor Bellemare, who's joining us virtually today, if she would start us off with proclamation. So Councillor Bellemare.
Okay, thank you. Whereas May 5th is recognized across Canada as Red Dress Day, a day to honor and remember missing or murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people, and to stand in solidarity with their families and communities. And whereas the red dress has become a powerful symbol of the lives lost and the ongoing fight for justice, truth, and accountability for the violence disproportionately experienced by Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people. And whereas the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, MMIWG, has revealed persistent human rights violations and abuses and issued 231 calls for justice directed at governments, institutions, and all Canadians. And whereas Red Dress Day provides an opportunity for reflection, education, and collective action to address systemic issues including racism, colonialization, and gender-based violence, and to work towards reconciliation and healing. And whereas the City of Dauphin is committed to truth, reconciliation, and fostering safe and inclusive communities for all people, and supports the efforts of local Indigenous leaders, families, and organizations working to honor the lives and legacies of those lost. Now, therefore, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim May 5th, 2026 as Red Dress Day in the City of Dauphin, and encourage all residents to reflect, learn, and take action in support of truth, reconciliation, and justice for Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people. Dated at the City of Dauphin in the province of Manitoba this day in April, and signed by our mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bellemare. I'll turn it over now to Councillor Daly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whereas National Police Week began in 1970 as a way for police to connect with their communities and to increase awareness about the services they provide. And whereas the theme for this year's campaign is Committed to Serve Together, which is an opportunity to emphasize how police officers are committed to working together with their agencies and with other police services, first responders, and social and community organizations for a stronger, safer, brighter future for all. And whereas this year we recognize the connection between the police and the citizens they serve and the importance of understanding one another. And whereas the City of Dauphin celebrates and commends police officers for service as valuable public safety partners and for their critical role in contributing to the safety of citizens and communities across the country, now, therefore, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim May 10th to 16th, 2026 as National Police Week.
Thank you, Councillor Daly. How about Deputy Mayor Laughlin? Mix it up a
Sure.
little.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This one is for Safety and Health Week, whereas creating and maintaining safe and healthy workplaces is essential to the productivity, well-being, and morale of all employees. And whereas Safety and Health Week is observed across Canada to raise awareness about the importance of preventing injury and illness in the workplace through education, training, and proactive measures. And whereas this week provides an opportunity for employees and workers to reflect on the importance of occupational health and safety and to renew their commitment to fostering a culture of prevention. And whereas the City of Dauphin recognizes that effective safety programs, strong leadership, and the active participation of all employees are key to eliminating hazards and reducing risks in the workplace. And whereas promoting workplace safety and health benefits everyone by protecting lives, supporting mental and physical well-being, reducing lost time, and enhancing overall performance. And now, therefore, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim May 4th to the 9th as Safety and Health Week.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Laughlin. How about Councillor Ray?
Thank you, Mayor Boziak. Whereas Canadian Mental Health Association Mental Health Week promotes mental health awareness through education, campaigns, activities, and events, and offers practical ways to maintain and improve mental health and support recovery from mental health problems and illnesses. And whereas people are faced with worrying levels of stress, anxiety, and loneliness, heightened by social inequality, the affordability crisis, and ongoing climate concerns. And whereas this year's CMHA campaign, Come Together Canada, promotes daily acts of connection and highlights our shared responsibility in supporting mental health through meaningful interaction. And whereas the Canadian Mental Health Association actively supports and encourages good mental health in all aspects of our lives during CMHA Mental Health Week and throughout the year. Now, therefore, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim May 4th to 10th, 2026 as CMHA Mental Health Week.
Thank you, Councillor Ray, and I'll turn it over to Danica, and she can do one for the student member of our council.
Whereas environmental sensitivities, including multiple chemical sensitivity, can substantially limit function and significantly impact quality of life, and whereas the Canadian Rights Commission recognizes environmental sensitivities, and whereas it is estimated that more than 1 million people in Canada have been diagnosed with multiple chemical sensitivity, and whereas individuals with multiple chemical sensitivity are at higher risk of experiencing electromagnetic hypersensitivity and vice versa, and whereas symptoms can range from mild to severely debilitating, and whereas Environmental Sensitivity/Multiple Chemical Sensitivity Awareness Month is observed in May, and with May 12th recognized as Environmental Sensitivities/Multiple Chemical Sensitivity Awareness Day, and whereas to achieve a better quality of life, individuals with environmental sensitivity/multiple chemical sensitivity require access to appropriate healthcare and safe living and working conditions. And whereas community efforts by organizations and individuals raise awareness, offer hope, and support research through advocacy and fundraising, now therefore we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim May 12, 2026 as Environmental Sensitivities/Multiple Chemical Sensitivity Awareness Day.
Thank you very much. Councillor Stakilo is next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be reading the Lyme Disease Awareness Month proclamation. Whereas Lyme disease is a serious illness caused by the bite of an infected black-legged ticks, and its symptoms can have significant impacts on the health and well-being of those affected if left undiagnosed or untreated. And whereas public awareness of Lyme disease, including understanding its symptoms, prevention strategies, and the importance of early diagnosis and treatment, is critical to reducing the risks associated with this growing public health concern. And whereas the number of reported cases of Lyme disease has been increasing in Manitoba and across Canada, emphasizing the need for proactive education and prevention measures, especially during spring and summer months when ticks are most active. And whereas recognizing May as Lyme Disease Awareness Month provides an opportunity to support ongoing public health efforts, promote tick safety practices, and encourage individuals to be vigilant while enjoying outdoor spaces. Now, therefore, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim May 2026 as Lyme Disease Awareness Month.
Thank you, Councillor Stakilo. And we've got one last one, and I'll get City Manager to read this one. It's kind of important for us.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is the proclamation of the National Day of Mourning, and I think it's timely. We did have a fatality or a loss of an employee last year, one of our firefighters, and I want to take a moment to really think about this day. So, whereas on April 28th, Canada will observe the National Day of Mourning, which commemorates workers who have been killed, injured, or suffered illness due to workplace hazards and incidents. And whereas in December 1990, Parliament passed the Workers' Mourning Day Act, and April 28th was officially recognized as the National Day of Mourning. And whereas since its inception, the observance has spread to over 80 countries around the world, commonly referred to as Workers' Memorial Day. And whereas workers and employees observe this day in various ways, including lighting candles, donning ribbons, wearing black armbands, and observing moments of silence. And whereas the purpose of the National Day of Mourning is to remember and honor those lives lost or injured, and to renew the commitment to improve safety and health in the workplace to prevent further deaths, injuries, and diseases from work. Now, therefore, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim April 28th, 2026 as the National Day of Mourning, dated to the City of Dauphin in the province of Manitoba, this 27th day of April 2026, and signed by Mayor Boziak. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just acknowledge there's two other proclamations that we won't read, but they're equally as important. That May 7th is International Harm Reduction Day, and May 3rd to the 9th is Emergency Preparedness Week. So all of these proclamations will be hung here at City Hall and be available for people to take a look online, and we'll move on. There was an item in the consent agenda that we'll get back to, and that is our outstanding receivables. And be resolved that we have one receivable to be added to taxes, and that's roll number 0053600 in the amount of $333.39, and that was for quarterly garbage pickup. And that is as per the recommendation of our Director of Finance. So those are all the items, and then we have a couple of filing items at the end of the consent agenda item. We have information from the Minister of Municipal and Northern Relations regarding the 2026 Municipal Operating Grant, and information received from Mountain View School Division regarding the News Digest of April the 13th. So those are all the items in the consent agenda. So the motion made by Councillor Ray, seconded by Deputy Mayor Laughlin, be resolved that all items read and listed under the consent agenda be approved and form part of the minutes. All in favor? Anyone opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you very much. The next item is moved by Councillor Sobring and seconded by Councillor Stakilo. Be resolved that the finance accounts, having been examined by council, be hereby authorized and approved. We had 29 checks in the recent period for a total of $301,133.08. There was one electronic fund payment for $1,343.41, and two others totaling $35,579.12. There were no voided checks in the current range nor in the past range, and we made 6 further electronic payments totaling $194,364.44. Are there any questions or comments regarding your review of this report? Call for the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Deputy Mayor Laughlin, that council accepts information, the report from the building inspector for the month of March. Any questions or comments regarding anything in the building inspector's report? Seeing none, we'll call for the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lachlan, that we accept the information provided by the Sharps Committee, their regular meeting of April the 14th. Any questions or comments regarding anything in this report? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Stakilo. Whereas the Board of Revision is a legislative process under the Municipal Act that enables property owners to appeal assessed values and supports fairness in the municipal taxation system, be it resolved that Council accepts this information, correspondence dated April 15th from Shirley Bomack, the District Supervisor of the Dauphin Assessment Office, confirming that the Board of Revisions for the 2027 assessment will be held on December the 7th at 2 p.m. at City Hall. Further be resolved that Council directs administration to coordinate all required notices, advertisements, and associated processes to ensure compliance with the legislation as per the Board of Revision. Questions or comments regarding this? All in favor? And opposed? None. Carried. Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Ray, whereas at our regular meeting of February the 2nd of this year, via resolution number 2026-77, Council varied the demolition order dated October the 9th for the property located at 19 Memorial Boulevard, thereby granting a 90-day extension to allow the owner an opportunity to bring the property toward compliance with applicable property standards. And whereas, as a condition of that extension, the owner was required to complete specified site improvements and submit a restoration or redevelopment plan with timelines towards reoccupation, redevelopment, and lawful demolition, be it resolved that Council accepts this information, correspondence dated March 31st from Ron Missy Abbott on behalf of the property owners, outlining a phased redevelopment plan supported by engineering assessments, funding commitments, and a proposed timeline for completion of said renovations by March 31st of 2028. Further be resolved that Council accepts this information memo dated April 10th from the Deputy City Manager, providing an analysis of the submitted proposal and recommending that Council accepts the plan, authorizing continuation of the current extension of the demolition order and requiring ongoing monitoring to ensure the progress. Further resolved, the Council agrees and recommends and accepts the proposed redevelopment plan subject to the conditions and ongoing monitoring requirements outlined in the memo. And further be resolved that Council approves a further extension deadline to accommodate the timelines associated with this approved redevelopment plan. Are there any questions or comments regarding this? I'd just like to, again, commend Lisa and the work that has been done to ensure all of the compliances and other issues are in place, because this is a significant project now being proposed, and I think it's all very good for the city moving forward. Call for the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Sobring, whereas the city received offers to purchase 4 municipally owned properties, 101 Johnson Street, 104 8th Avenue Southwest, 138 4th Avenue Southwest, and 301 3rd Avenue Northeast, all at amounts below the listed price of $15,000, but deemed reasonable based on marketability and economic development considerations. And whereas the proposed purchasers intend to develop the properties, thereby contributing to additional housing supply within the community, be resolved that Council accepts a memo dated April 16th from the Economic Development Manager recommending that Council approves the sale on the basis that the offers represent reasonable value and support community development objectives. Further be resolved that Council agrees with the Economic Development Manager's recommendation and approves the sale of 101 Johnson Street to Rhonda Daniel Ledoux and Lanny Tobin Ledoux in the amount of $10,000 plus taxes, and 104 8th Avenue Southwest, 138 4th Avenue Southwest, and 301 3rd Avenue Northeast to Jerry and Carrie Wheeler in the amount of $12,500 plus applicable taxes per lot. Further be resolved that Council authorizes the Director of Finance to exercise and execute all necessary documents to complete the transactions. Questions or comments? I'd just like to again say the expediency of this. This came up last meeting, and We've got 4 offers and all being accepted. So call for the question. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Sticalo, seconded by Councillor Ray. Whereas the city issued a request for proposal for the 2026 road improvement program through the MERC's electronic tendering system, be it resolved that council accepts as info a memo dated April 24th from the acting director of Public Works, noting that 2 proposals were received and recommending the 2026 road improvement program be awarded to Maple Leaf Construction as the lowest compliant bidder based on a revised scope of work to better align with the proposed budget. Further be resolved that council agrees with the recommendation approving the awarding of the contract in the amount of $831,293.30 plus taxes to Maple Leaf Construction, and further be resolved that this award is conditional upon approval of our 2026 financial plan. Questions or comments? Councillor Ray?
Just when I went through that, they had to bring the price down, which included meaning that they weren't completing Sandy Street to Forest, right? They were only doing part of it. Is the rest of it going to be done next year, or is it just not needed?
I believe that the thought is that that would be high priority for the following year.
Okay.
Daryl, you don't want to comment or add anything to that?
Yeah, we had to, in order to help in the financial budget, to take those 2 streets out. Since we were doing McLeod Avenue, it made more sense to do the south 2 blocks from River to Kirby. And then next year, we just have the 2 blocks to finish off Sandy, and then Sandy will be done. So Sandy will be a priority next year.
Any other questions? All in favor? And opposed? Carried. Sean, you might want to relax for this one, a little bit wordy. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Ray. Whereas the Association of Manitoba Municipalities resolution process provides municipalities with a formal mechanism to collectively advocate to the province and federal governments on matters of shared importance, and whereas the city has demonstrated leadership in raising awareness of radon as a significant public health issue, contributing to increased engagement across the Parkland region and beyond, and prompting interest from other municipalities seeking to advance advocacy efforts. And whereas city administration has identified a timely and strategic opportunity for the city to proactively re-engage in the resolution process with an updated resolution that clearly articulates the municipal impacts of radon exposure and the need for provincial leadership. And whereas certified copies of council-approved resolutions must be submitted to AMM municipalities prior to June 1st deadline in order to be considered, be it resolved that council accepts info, a memo dated April 15th from the Deputy City Manager recommending the submission of a resolution to the AMM municipalities advocating for a provincial radon action strategy to support Manitoba municipalities. Further, be it resolved that council agrees with the Deputy City Manager's recommendations and approves the following resolution: Provincial Radon Action Strategy to support Manitoba municipalities, which reads, whereas radon is a naturally occurring radioactive gas that enters homes and buildings from the soil and is the 2nd leading cause of lung cancer in Canada, and whereas Health Canada estimates that approximately 165 Manitobans die each year from lung cancer attributable to radon exposure, making radon a significant and preventable environmental risk. And whereas the updated cross-Canada survey of radon concentrations in homes found that 43% of homes in Manitoba exceed the Canadian guidelines of 200 becquerels per cubic meter, the highest proportion recorded in Canada, demonstrating that elevated radon is a widespread issue affecting Manitoban communities. And whereas municipalities across the province are increasingly receiving inquiries from residents regarding radon exposure, testing, and mitigation, despite lacking the legislative authority, technical expertise, and resources to address indoor air quality issues. And whereas municipalities operate and maintain numerous public facilities, including offices, libraries, recreation facilities, and fire halls, where municipal employees and members of the public may be exposed to elevated radon levels, creating operational, financial, and occupational health and safety responsibilities for municipal governments. And whereas in the absence of provincial leadership, municipalities are bearing increasing responsibility for public education, testing, mitigation efforts, which result in inconsistent approaches and financial pressures across communities, whereas municipalities are often the first point of contact for residents seeking information about radon exposure, despite having no legislative authority over indoor air quality standards, tenancy requirements, or building code provisions related to radon. And whereas environmental health protection, public health policy, workplace safety and health regulation, residential tenancy legislation, and building code regulations fall primarily within the jurisdiction of the province. And whereas municipalities are incurring and may incur significant costs related to testing, mitigation of municipal facilities, and responding to community concerns without any corresponding funding or legislative authority, therefore be it resolved that the AMM advocate to the province to develop and implement a comprehensive provincial radon action strategy to address radon exposure and support Manitoba municipalities in protecting the health and safety of their communities. Further be it resolved that such a strategy include coordinated provincial leadership in areas of public awareness, province-wide testing, mitigation supports, regulatory modernization, and financial assistance to ensure a consistent, equitable, and effective province-wide approach that reduces financial and operational pressures on municipalities. Whereas the City of Dauphin has been working to develop. Moving too fast. That's it. That's the end of it. Whew. So, call for the question then. All in favor? Anyone opposed? That motion is carried. That's a double pager. I got a little confused on, do I turn some more? So, right, backwards. Next item, moved by Councillor Stakilo, seconded by Deputy Mayor Laughlin. Whereas the city has been working to develop an active transport pathway connecting the Kingsway Trail and Assiniboine College. And whereas Manitoba Hydro is the registered owner of certain lands required for a portion of the pathway and has agreed to grant the city a license to use and maintain a defined area for this purpose. And whereas the proposed license agreement provides for a 10-year term commencing April 1st of this year with options to renew with an annual license fee of $1 plus taxes, along with the city's responsibility for maintenance and any applicable increases in taxes, be it resolved that Council accepts this information, a memo dated April 27th from the Project and Development Manager outlining the terms of the agreement and recommending that Council approves the license agreement to allow for completion and public use of this trail. Further be resolved that Council agrees with these recommendations, approves the license agreement between the City and Manitoba Hydro for the Assiniboine College pathway, and authorizes the agreement to be signed and sealed by the Mayor and City Manager. Questions or comments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in the development of our Allen Dauphin Connector Trail between First Avenue Southeast and the Assiniboine College, we've been fortunate to partner with Hydro so that we could go across their land. We did not have to subdivide and purchase. However, and Hydro has a great mechanism to have an agreement where the public can use a corridor over their land. We did have to go back and forth a little bit with them regarding this agreement because the template of the agreement is usually for trails underneath big power lines. So you see those in larger cities where there's a nice meandering trail and it's going in and out of those big structures. So we did have some interesting clauses in there, like we can't have anything over a certain height, including any trees planted or whatnot. So we do have some work yet to do on exemptions to those clauses, but Hydro wanted us to sign the agreement as written. So our project and development manager and myself have poured over this and done several iterations, and we're happy to say that this is just another tick box in creating that active transportation connection.
Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Daly. Whereas the city has previously participated in the transition from the legacy enhanced 911 network to the next generation 911 network, which enables improved emergency response capabilities through enhanced data such as GPS coordinates and cellular caller information. And whereas the CRTC has mandated the implementation of the new system across Canada, requiring municipalities to enter into standardized service agreements with network providers, and whereas the proposed new system agreement with Bell Canada is a required non-modifiable agreement that supports the continued operation and eventual decommissioning of the existing network, and whereas the 911 call handling services for the City of Dauphin will continue to be provided through the city's contract with the Brandon Public Safety Answering Point, with no additional costs associated to the agreement, be it resolved that Council accepts this informal memo dated April 27th from the Project and Development Manager, recommending the approval of the Next Generation 911 Service Agreement with Bell Canada, and further be resolved that Council agrees with the recommendation and approves entering into this agreement to be signed and sealed by the Mayor and the City Manager. Questions or comments? I know that Charlotte attended a tour of the facilities in Brandon last week at AMM.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in the Parkland, we set up a tour of the 911 call center for Parkland municipalities. It was primarily to talk about some of the struggles that rural neighbors have in getting ambulance-specific services out to rural addressing. For the three types of emergency responses: fire, RCMP, and ambulance. Fire is usually there's somebody local who's responding to it, and given a name, they can find it. Also, there's usually a big plume of smoke to drive towards. RCMP, they do a reasonably good job of knowing landmarks as best as they can, as long as they're still there, and some names and whatnot. And so, and they're in our communities usually a little bit more. They live near our communities. Ambulance, however, is quite difficult because there are ambulance attendants that circulate through. They live elsewhere. They don't necessarily know landmarks or communities or things like that. So that was the main purpose of it, to talk about the addressing, the rural addressing, and what's the best way to get emergency services to find the rural people who need help. The conversation did evolve into this Next Generation 911, and I thought was a very good discussion because it talked about the added in capabilities of the 911 operators being able to locate the people who need the help. One of the things that municipalities will have to do is supply some GIS information, which the City of Dauphin is well suited for, so there's no barriers there. And we actually have already signed a version of this agreement. This initiative started back in, I think, about 2022. And so we investigated it, said that we could meet all the requirements, and we signed it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of other municipalities who are not able to sign due to maybe some lack of funding or lack of ability to get that GIS data completed, like get their municipality surveyed to the point where this group needs it for the information. However, we're being stressed that we've got about a year to get onto this. Otherwise, our 911 system will continue to deteriorate, and some people won't be able to get to where they need to be. So City of Dauphin is in a good shape to say yes to this agreement.
Just as an aside, and at AMM, it was one of the discussions indicated that there are parts of the province that don't have 911, which I found that kind of striking in 2026, that there are huge parts that if you have an emergency, you need to know who to call. So weird. Okay, all in favor of that resolution? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Staccailo, that Council accepts the following invitations to the Brandon Chamber of Commerce, their State of the Province address, which is on May the 14th. The Prairie Mountain Health Regional Health Center, 125th anniversary of the Dauphin Hospital on May the 29th. and the Mountain View School Division have Umba Negamon celebration on June the 11th. Any questions or comments regarding this? All in favor? Opposed? And finally, we'll motion by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Sticilo. Be resolved that Council accepts information the following community event, and that's the City of Dauphin's community-wide yard sale on May the 30th. I know there's some social media information out about sign up, get your name on the list, get your property on the list. So we should all be getting our good stuff out there, because Deputy Mayor Laughlin wants to buy a bunch of it for his kid. Yeah. Yeah. So all in favor of that motion? Anyone need to? No, we're good. All right. Here we go. The fun part of the evening. Who am I going to point at first for the councillor reports? So what do you think? Where should we go? Councillor Sobring, are you ready?
Yeah, I am ready.
All
And I
right.
actually appreciate being first because I think a lot of us are going to report the exact same meetings. So I think last week, myself and the rest of council, mayor, staff camped out in this room and deliberated the utility budget, the general budget. And it was lengthy. It was well planned. A lot of projects fit into the upcoming year. And all of the challenges of facing rising prices in every facet. We've kind of done I feel like the city staff should be commended for the excellent work. A special shout out to Scott Carr. I know he takes pride in balancing and getting everything right, and he did so again. Outside of that, I did attend a meeting on Friday here with Urban Systems, along with our economic development manager and the project manager, regarding the final plans for the craft district. And that was well done. Economic development meeting on the 20th here in council chambers. And then I guess that was pretty much wraps it up for me. It was very busy. It felt like a lot of meetings. If we reported this already, if I'm in a bit of a time loop, or maybe we've already had a meeting in between then, but I don't think so. So I just know that we did a lot of council work on behalf of the citizens. So you definitely got your money's worth. Thanks.
I'll call on Councillor Daly next, just to.
Big swing. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. April 13th, attended the last regular council meeting along with budget deliberations. And just to go on what Councillor Sobering had to say, it was well done. Lots of work, but very impressive input by everybody. April 16th, met with the mayor and Councillor Ray to talk about a homelessness and security strategy downtown. There'll be lots more reporting on this coming soon, hopefully. Then Councillor Ray and I attended a meeting with Deputy City Manager Gadet, and we talked about a security pilot project again for downtown, which again, we're excited to get some traction on that. And then last week, April, the 3 days at AMM and Brandon, which is not quite the same as the AMM in Winnipeg. However, I found it worthwhile and gained a lot of significant information. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Laughlin, are you ready over there?
Yeah, that's a curveball, but I'm good to go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For me, much the same as Councillor Sobering, Councillor Daly. We had that regular council meeting on the 13th, and then a couple of days of budget talks here at City Hall. That was followed by, on the 15th for me, a city beautification meeting here at City Hall. And I, too, was at the Association of Manitoba Municipalities meetings in Brandon. Always good for networking, especially this one. This one's the last one, obviously, before the election in October. So good to kind of check in with all the people I've met over the years and speak with them and what their situations are in their municipalities. So nice to take part in that. And then I just want to mention, this get mentioned a few times. I've already had about 4, but the Smile Cookie campaign is back. And it is in support of the Country Fest Community Cinema. Myself and the Dauphin Kings were there this morning promoting it, and it's going on all week at Tim Hortons. So make sure you go get your Smile cookies and support the Triple C Community Cinema. And that ends my report.
Thank you. Councillor Ray is ready to go.
Thank you, Mayor Boziak. On the 13th, I also attended the last regular council meeting. 14th, I attended the Chamber of Commerce State of the District presentation at the WAC. Followed that up with a Sharps Committee meeting via Teams, and later that day was at City Hall for budget deliberations. On the 15th, I attended a special rec meeting here at City Hall, and then returned later in the day again for the budget meetings. 16th, as Councillor Daly mentioned, we had a meeting with the mayor regarding the restricted hours of the safe warm space. And later that afternoon, we had the Teams meeting with Deputy City Manager Gaudette to discuss the city's plan for the pilot security project. On the 22nd and 23rd, I attended AMM in Brandon. Always great to connect with other councillors and take part in the city's caucus. I also enjoyed what I thought was a very powerful keynote presentation on mental health by former TSN host Michael Landsberg. Just a reminder that May 7th is our Spring City cleanup. Anyone wishing to help out can meet at CN Park prior to 1 p.m. Coffee, donuts, and a chance at prizes for anyone that helps out. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councillor Ray. Councillor Stakilo, are you ready?
I am
Thank you.
ready.
Paying
Yes.
attention,
Yeah.
attaboy. Yeah.
I had a suspicion you'd be looking this way. For myself, April 13th, regular council meeting, and I too was in attendance for the budget meetings on the 14th and 15th. And just following up on what my fellow councillors have been mentioning, yes, just thanks to the city, to staff for preparing a well-informed budget. And also just thanks to my fellow councillors and the mayor for coming to the meetings prepared and reading the information. And I've been through a few budget meetings over the years, and that was probably one of the smoothest ones that we've gone through. And I think it just comes to being prepared and informed about what was presented to us and being able to get through it. So thank you to staff and council for that. April 20th, ECDEV meeting here at City Hall. And that does it for me. Thank you.
Now we'll move to the biggest head in the room, and that's only because Councillor Bellemare is on our screen, and it's massive screen. So Councillor Bellemare, take it away.
You can't overlook me, eh? Okay, in addition to the two budget meetings that have been mentioned by the other councillors, I also chaired the Parkland Regional Library meeting, and I attended the City Beautification Committee meeting that Deputy Mayor Lachlan attended. And last year we had 143 yard sales in the community-wide yard sales. So this year, we're not telling you what our goal is, but we want to beat 143. And also on the 16th, I attended the Climate Adaptation Working Group meeting. And this Friday is the Rotary Spirits, Beer, and Wine event. And get your tickets early because the caterer needs numbers. And also, I want to, in addition to the kudos or to the thank yous that other councillors have made to our staff, I just wanted to mention that as elected officials, we received many spreadsheets that have been combed through line by line to ensure that the proposed numbers were both accurate and appropriate for next year's financial plan. Plus, we were given concrete options for paying for those proposed costs. So thank you, staff, for your diligence, your attention to detail, and for your financial perspectives. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. And last but not least, my sidekick here, the student report. Take it away.
Since last meeting, April 13th, student report cards have been released. The DRCSS musical production of Mamma Mia was a major success, selling out all 3 performances. For sports, the badminton tournament has concluded, with 3 athletes advancing to provincials, as well as the rugby and track and field season has officially begun. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. And again, I just echo a couple of the comments made by councillors at AMM. It's always interesting to go and hear what other communities' issues are, to hear what other communities' solutions to those issues are, to share some of our best practices, to share some of our issues, but generally just to see how we're kind of in this same situation together. But one thing I want to, again, just reaffirm that it seemed that a high proportion of the agenda is related to toxic behaviors, either in council chambers, in communities, between council members and administration, between council members and the public. And we heard stories of elected officials in Manitoba getting death threats, and we heard stories of municipal equipment being shot at. And so when you hear that in Manitoba, where you think we're relatively safe, and it's kind of it's scary, and it's inappropriate. And so I know that AMM is doing a lot to try and inform councillors and the general public by extension that decorum is a better way to do things, and that democracy involves engagement. And if people are scared to be engaged, then you could argue there's a lesser of democracy in our communities. So saying that, our community, we have our issues and we have our challenges, but compared to what a lot of other municipalities are having to deal with, we're in really good shape. And I want to commend the citizens of our community, this council, our staff, all of the associations, organizations, community groups that are working so hard to make Dauphin a great place to be. And it's reflected in most of what we see out there. There's still more work to do, obviously, and we all have to pitch in, and everybody has to do something. My famous cliche, somebody's got to do something. I think that we as a city, and I know that you as council members, and particularly our staff, are doing everything that they can that's within our jurisdiction, and in some regards beyond our jurisdiction, to make this a great place to be. So that's one of the things that I always, my ears to the ground when I'm at AMM, and having conversations and chat with other elected people and other administrators from other municipalities. So overall, we got things we have to work on for sure, but I'm sure glad we're here, and I'm sure glad that we have these people that we're working with to sort of address these issues. So that was my takeaway from AMM. And I just wanted to say, commend the councillors that were able to attend and participate. I know one councillor, Devin, was there wearing his other hat, working a booth at the trade show with his EDAM. But overall, it was really great to see over 600 other elected individuals. And as Deputy Mayor Loughlin stated, some of them are going to be around again after October. Some aren't. But again, related to what my comments were, anybody who wants to run for council or wants to get involved in municipal politics shouldn't be afraid to do so. And so I'm glad we're in Dauphin. So with that, I'll end. I'll call for the question, and all in favor of accepting those reports. Anyone opposed? And carried. All right, it is 5:45, and moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Daly, that the council meeting be recessed at 5:45.